What's going on, beautiful people? Today I am upgrading the tank for my Mbuna cichlids. Well, I say I'm upgrading the tank, I don't mean the tank itself. The tank is of a good size. It's just that when I bought these fish, they were a lot smaller. They're getting very big now. And there's basically not that many territories for them to inhabit, which means they could start aggression as they get bigger still, just fighting for territory. Now, another option would be to take some out, take them back to the shop, that sort of thing. And then there's enough territories for everyone. But there's two reasons why I don't want to do that. First one, I've had these for quite a long time now. I don't want to take some of them out. They're my pets. They really love me. I mean, they love me feeding them. But also, if I do that, I can't create something awesome and new, which is another part of the hobby, other than keeping the fish, that I really enjoy. Now, obviously, I can't keep them all in this tank whilst I scape it, so I'm gonna have to take them out. And I recently stocked the 3 tanks you can see here, and all the fish were up on the fish wall, which means we've got loads of empty tanks that they can all go in. I mean, these tanks here, they are way too small for these fish, but it's gonna be less than a day it's gonna take me to do the scape for them, because it's not massively complicated. Well, it's gonna be in terms of structure, but not like planting and things like that. And also they've got a filter running, which has been running for a long time, so that can go straight on. Everything will be good there. Now, they are due a feed, but putting them in here and then feeding them, it's just gonna possibly make that a little bit more risky. Small area that's had smaller fish, bigger fish going in, more food. So we'll feed them now. Right, I'm currently not near the tank. Watch them go nuts when they see the flake food. Calm, they absolutely love this stuff. Absolute piggies they are. My wife loves feeding them as well, just because of how sort of puppy doggish they go. There we go. There's a lot of fish there, so they do take a good amount of food. And not to forget, down the bottom, look, we've got the Cynodontis catfish as well, look. I feed the pellets to them. I have to do it as soon as I've done the flake as well, because otherwise the cichlids also pick off the pellets. I think it's another reason they're growing so well is just the combination of the 2 foods. There's also bristlenose plecos in there, and they tend to get quite a lot of everything as well, but I also put in algae wafers for them. There'd be no point in doing that now though, because we're gonna be taking them out and they take a while to eat those. So I can put some wafers in another tank for those, that's fine. There we go, they're all getting a nice big feed, full bellies, that then they can poop out in their temporary tanks. It'll be fine though. Like I say, they're not going to be in there for long at all. There we go, all food eaten. We can now start the process of breaking down the tank. I'm going to take you through that just in case anyone's wondering how they would go about it. I've done it so many times now that I've worked out a little routine. So first job, take out all the floating plants. We have got mini water lettuce in this one, which does really well actually and stays mini. So take that out, and then I'll start removing all of the hardscape and the plants as well. Most of the plants are doing okay, so I'll put them in another tank just for storage, use them for other builds. And then I take out all of everything, the whole hardscape, so we're just left with the substrate. And at that point, I can drain the water right down, which means catching these guys would be way easier. It's almost impossible with a full tank. You're just chasing yourself, basically. So yeah, let's get started on that and let's make these guys something absolutely amazing. There we go, I'm keeping these floating plants, so just put them in a little bit of water. They are so good at pulling nutrients from the water column, so I definitely want them in the new scape as well. That is all the rocks and hardscape out. As you can see down here, I've got it all lined up nicely so I can pick bits again. I'm going to use way more than that though. And you can now see the amount of mold that's in the tank. This is all from the wood. You can see that it's like chewed up. Well, not all of it, but I'd say a lot of it is just chewed up bits of wood, and then it's wood poop as well. from all the bristlenose plecos. So definitely be getting the sand out and give that a clean up. But you know, it wasn't harming the water quality in any way. We had really low nitrates and it was nice and clear. So it's not something that I worry about massively. A lot of people say don't cause pockets of no flow because you get this. But again, it's all part of a system if you ask me. Any bits that are in the open, well, I've got the power head over this side that was sort of blowing those around. So yeah, not a problem. Never found it to be an issue. But now I'm going to suck all the water out using this big thick pipe. Then I put a net over the end just because it flows so hard that those fish would just definitely go in there. And that's literally just going round and outside. And I'm going to try and scoop up about 4 or 5 fish at a time. And then I can just place them over in those other tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These guys are pretty chill, look, if you just take your time. And I've got a bucket down here to place them in. That was 3. There we go, 4 and 5. And they can go up here just for the time being. Oh, it was actually about 6. A couple of the darker ones as well. Look really nice in this tank, don't they? Won't be long, guys. Something even better coming. There we go. All of the fish are out and in their temporary homes. Put the plants in this one as well, give them some cover. Got a good view in here, a good view in here, and then all the rest down in this one. So we've got plenty of time just to not have to rush this. Equal distribution of fish, which means the filters and the ecosystems in each tank are gonna be fine. Yeah, let's get the tank clean. There we go, tank clean, and I've collected up all the substrate. And here it is. I'm just gonna run the hose in here, just get it flowing around, and just keep draining off the water, and all the bad gunky bits will all float off, and we're left with clean sand. So sand is now clean, tank is now clean, and we're ready to go. But no, we are not. Having now seen how good the fish look up against a black background, I definitely want to make the background on this tank, or not this tank, but the one we're doing, I want to make that black for sure. The fish just seem to pop way better. Either they're popping more or they're just more colourful because of a black background. I'm not entirely sure. It's one of the two, so I'm definitely blacking it out. So I need to spin this tank around, take the background off, paint it and put it back. Now lots of people last time I did this said, why don't you just paint this side black, flip it round and peel the back off? Well, this side will inevitably have some scratches and things on it, which when you put the black on probably will stand out even more. Whereas I know the back of that is absolutely perfect, so I'm going to paint that one. Now I'm going to recommend you don't do what I'm doing here and just get someone to help you. So this background is like extra sticky. It's very hard to get off, but I'm going to heat it up a little bit first, which has made no difference whatsoever. Oh, yes it has. Yes it has. Oh yeah. Oh no, too hot, too hot. Oh, that's definitely easier than it was before. I've done this before without heating it and it just come off in bits. I could just paint over the top of this, but it'll still give like a milky look, so I'm not interested in that. Oh, wherever there's been heat, it comes off really easy. Oh, damn it, not there. So that's the surface cleaned, all ready to go. Now there's 2 ways of blacking out the back panel. You can use like limo tint, that sort of thing, which is nice and simple, a little bit fiddly cutting it and stuff, but overall gives a great finish. I don't have any of that, so I've got another option, black paint. Black paint, sorry, I thought it was wet. Got masonry paint here, it's really cheap, goes on smooth, and also if you want to change it, it scrapes off of a blade really easy as well, and it dries quickly, so this is an alternative. I can't be bothered to order stuff, wait for it to arrive. Got this, crack on. Now the first layer always goes on a little bit sort of patchy and weird, but that doesn't matter. You just got to get that first layer on, get some heat on it, get it drying, and the second, third, and fourth all go on a lot better. You just got to get that first layer on. It goes a bit bitty. To keep it even though, it'll dry quicker, then you can crack on to the second layer. Another little tip, overhang your cabinet, and then you can just run the brush or roller all the way along it and it doesn't touch anything. Nice and quick and easy. Right, now that first layer's on, you can see how sort of see-through it is. Now that first layer's on, we can really start slapping the paint on. You just have to get that light base coat on, get it fully dried. The glass is now a little bit warm. Every other layer that goes on after this is much quicker, goes much darker. It'll probably need about 4 or 5 layers though. But yeah, it doesn't take that long really. What's that been? 4 or 5 minutes? And by half an hour, you have a black background. So the tank is already completely clean. I should probably talk about the lights we've got up here. These are ones that I got off of Amazon. And what I liked about them is they're not too powerful and they're dimmable. Now why that's good is because in scapes where you've not got loads of plants, if you put too much light in, then you're gonna get algae problems. It's the same situation on my other cichlid tank I've got over here. Look at that male at the back there. Why are you being shy? Yeah, so I've got another 2 little pendant lights, not too powerful, enough to light everything, but there's no algae on the rocks. Look, nothing on the sand. There's a couple of plants in there because I put them in from another tank, but yeah, you can just see it works perfectly. Too much light, you're inevitably going to get algae, especially with fish that eat a lot of food like these and the Mbunas. Now for filtration, we have got an Awase Biomaster 850, and that's currently just plumbed in to the tank behind it so we can keep it running, all the bacteria stays alive, so we can take our time. So now finally, we can start the fun bit, actually creating the mountain. Now, I want to do this a little bit differently. I've got to basically balance rocks. I can stick some in place where needed. The point is that there needs to be holes in between all of it. So to do that, it might not look like a completely solid, filled in mountain, but we could use some tricks with some of the rocks maybe to sort of come in front. I don't want to break this glass though with loads of heavy rocks. I've got to put something down at least on the main stones to start with. I've got all of the rocks down here, which are great, but that's not enough for what I want to do. So I'm going to use bigger ones that don't look as sort of detailed, if you like, behind them. Oh, it's so sunny, but I'm talking, of course, about ones like these. I think it's basalt, however you pronounce it, but yeah, they are massive. They don't look that detailed, but they are grey. So I can use them at the back to build up height. And I've got a little bit of protection here that I used in the previous scape under the biggest rocks. I'll arrange them a bit better once the stones are in. Okay, first rock, it's a big one. Just gonna lay it flat to begin with, round about there. I've then got another big one for the other side. Oh, this is awkward. This is gonna be massive. And a few smaller ones to fill out the middle section. Try and sort of get them to interlock, but we're already creating crevices, look, on this side. There we go, we've already got a sort of firm base to start from. Now I can start generating some height maybe. No, not yet, I need one more in the foreground. Currently nothing underneath that though, so I need something to go under that, otherwise it's going to be load bearing and pressure point on the glass. There we go, just placed it on some filter floss, will be absolutely fine. Most of the weight is going to be on the back rocks, and then the ones in the foreground are more sort of gently rested up against stuff, and that glass is thick glass. You're not breaking that with a bit of weight on it. Obviously, if you drop something, then yeah. Right, I think now is the time to start generating the height with the good rocks. Now, there is a little bit of algae on some of them. I was going to pressure wash that off, but I thought, you know what? It gives it more of a sort of realistic vibe. So I'm going to keep it. Oh, there we go. Now that is a mountain, right? Now some of it's a little bit precariously balanced, but look, I can go around, tap, tap, tap. Everyone knows the tap test. Nothing's going anywhere. It's all sort of interlocked because of the jagged edges. You just got to find the gaps. Now, normally when you do an aquascaping, you want to sort of try and keep some strata lines and stuff like that. So it's actually quite difficult to not do that. You have to tell yourself to do the opposite of what you usually want to do, because I want gaps. You've got to have all these gaps everywhere, because that's where they all like create their little caves and dwellings, and the hierarchy will dictate who can go where. There's so many as well. Like right down in there, you can get all the way into the back area. Around the back there, you can get around the back. Around the back, you can get around the back. Yeah, that's right. And then all down in here, like everywhere you look, there's now caves for the fish to be able to sort of dwell in. And I'm already picturing it now. This is going to look so good with just the contrast of the black, the grey, and then the colour of the fish. It's going to be insane. Need to get some sand in now. I don't want a huge amount, but they do like to sift it around. About an inch or so at the front, and then just sort of push it up against the rocks. They'll decide where they want it to go anyway, so I'm not going to mess around with it too much. Yeah, that'll transform it again. Oh, I think that looks so good. I was going to add a load of detail in the sand in the foreground, but I don't think it needs it. I think that'll actually take away, because there's a very definite line now where the base is and where the rocks or the mountain is. If I start doing that, then it's going to sort of all just merge. And again, it's not an aquascape. This is just going to be an awesome display tank for these fish. Right, I can now fill up the tank, which I'm going to do with dechlorinated tap water from my water butt. Shouldn't take long, and I can get the filters going as well. So it's now the next day, and as you can see, the tank has cleared up perfectly. As I was filling it yesterday, I put the filter on, so there's no surprise there that it's gone so clear, because the rock's completely clean, sand all cleaned, makes sense. Any of the fine particles that were in the water column have now gone into the filter and have been trapped inside the finer filter media. So yeah, looks so good. When I filled it up yesterday, I was a bit meh, but now that it's clear, that shimmering as well looks so good, doesn't it? So we've got the outlet pointed this side, which creates a shimmer on the right. And then I've got a power head or a wave maker, whatever you want to call it. That's blowing up that side, which means that we get an even shimmer all over, which will look even better for the fish. And that's what you get with spotlights, to be honest. You can get it with strip lights, but you need even more surface agitation. But when you've got spotlights, a little bit of surface shimmering like it is there creates a massive effect underneath. I think it's the best look for a fish tank, to be honest, when you get that shimmer. It just, for some reason, it amplifies the idea that you're in sort of like a lake that's moving with the sunlight on top of it, or a river or something like that. Oh, and a huge shout out to Mr. Crocodile Head here, right in the middle. Now, part of me was thinking, oh, if I'd have angled that like that way, then like it would have given a better aesthetic. Such a hard word to say. Like if it was angled upwards. But if I did that, I'd lose crevices. Like I can already see they're gonna use these caves. There's also a root right below it that goes right beneath. So, you know, again, thinking of the fish, a little bit of angle would have been okay, but then I wouldn't have had the base to put that piece on as well. And you know, it just worked out this way, and I think it looks great anyway. Right, we can literally put the fish in straight away. Oh, actually, before we do, I want to see if these work, if they look good, if the surface agitation like just pushes them everywhere. I want to see how they look, because if we don't use them, we're probably going to get more algae. I've turned the lights up slightly higher than they were, just because I'm filming. I'll probably turn them down a touch, just a slight touch, when we finish the video. And to be honest, that will probably stop any algae, but I do want that greenness to continue on the rocks because it just looks so cool. Let's try the floating plants, the mini water lettuce, and just see how we get on. Because to be honest, I think I'd rather have the surface agitation than the floating plants. They might take away just because of the greenness. I mean, they're already moving around quite fast, but they'll probably get stuck in sort of like one area. If they do, that's all right. I've checked all of these plants as well. There's no duckweed, which means that we're not going to have that as a problem. But saying that, I think the Mbuna will eat the duckweed if there was any, and he explains why there is 0 in this tank. Okay, let's have a look at that, see how that looks. Okay, it doesn't take away from the shimmer. They seem to be settling over in this corner because that's obviously like a spot where there isn't a load of flow. I tell you what, I'm going to take them out for now, and if I need them later on, I will definitely add them. I've got plenty dotted around the studio in other tanks, so for now I'm going to leave them out. I'm going to keep an eye on the situation. If we start getting a ton of string algae and things like that, then I can add them in because they'll absorb nutrients. Obviously the Mbuna eat a lot. We've also got the cynodontist and the bristlenose pleco, which, to be fair, do a great job of keeping any algae down anyway. That green spot algae on the rocks is like real stubborn on it. I don't think they can actually get that off, but anything that's like loose, I mean, it just comes off from bristlenose pleco straight away. They've got such strong sort of bitey suction to them. So I now need to take out the fish, separate them. I've got to get the catfish and the bristlenose in one bucket. Then I'll put all the Mbuna in a separate one and release them all together. I just think that'd be really cool. It'll look awesome and it'll all give them a fair chance to find their territories as well. Right, first in is the bristlenose and cynodontist. Interested to see if any of them stay out, but probably not. Come on then, down you come. Bristlenose hanging on for dear life. There we go, last one. They are out. And now the main event, the Skittles. I can't wait for the colour. I'm wondering if they go and hide or not. I'm expecting them to. Yeah, quite a lot. Oh, that looks so good. They really do pop against it all. Most of them are gonna hide straight away, but that's quite good. They're exploring. I can't see a single cynodontist. A couple of bristlenose at the back I can see. They're already in caves. Straight away they're like finding their territories. Look, that cave there is the one that goes right in, so expect to see a few of them going in there. There's a lot of places for them to be able to set up their homes. Their homes? Is it their homes? We'll call it their homes. I think it's really interesting just watching them at this point, like when they're first in, because no one knows anything what's going on. The hierarchy is completely set back to 0. Not seeing any aggression, but then that's normal straight away. You've sort of rebooted the system. Nice schooling action going on here, look at that. And I know a lot of you will be like, oh, MD, you are definitely gonna put plants in there. I literally will not in this one. I feel like the fish looks so much better in the tank with just the rock, and you've got the color already. You don't need all the others. There's the green on the rock as well that, you know, gives you that sort of other palette. Look at the size of this blue down here. Wow, looking good. They're literally all just going around looking at every single cave, trying to work out where the best spot is. Oh, I just saw a blue come straight out of that hole there, and then I saw a yellow one go all the way down the back. I'm not seeing many at the height at the moment, but look, there we go. As time goes on and areas get taken, I'm sure they'll explore the whole cave systems, including the top. Actually, I'll tell you what would be nice, which I find is a really good thing always when you put new fish in, put some food in, and let them know that they're in a safe spot and they can eat. They should know what's going on here. There we go, yes. They're not that worried then. Yum, 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 yum. And all the water movement as well means that all the other fish come out. There's one underneath the cave there at the moment. That's my home. You can't trick me of your food. So the Mbuna like a lot of veggies in their diet. Some say too much protein can cause bloating, so I only feed the flake and the algae wafers as well. They have a little nibble at it to start with. It's quite hard, but as it's sat in the water for a few minutes, it goes really soft. And eventually they do get round to eating the whole lot, as well as the bristlenose and the catfish as well. And then a sprinkle of pellets for the catfish as well. There we go, now everyone's definitely happy, nice full bellies. And it'll be interesting to come back tomorrow and just take a look at how they're behaving versus now. So it's the next day and the fish are all over the tank. They look so good. Now don't get me wrong, I liked the tank previously, but this is so much better for the fish. I think it's just a real awesome spectacle as well. Currently I'm stood far back from the tank, but if I come over, I'll get up, come over, all of them just come darting forward, except for a couple that have seemed to have taken residence. Like this guy here who thinks this is an appropriate area to set up base camp. I'm not sure about that, buddy. It doesn't look the most protected to me, but oh, you see that yellow? They're all going in and out, see? They love it. It's surpassed my expectations. The colours of the fish have changed as well. Like, look at the red tops here. Wait till they turn to the side. They've got much more sort of varied coloration. They were more dark before. Now they're a bit more lighter and the red is way more vibrant as well. There's quite a lot more jostling going on between them. Normally that's because it's like near feeding time. But there is an extra amount at the moment, I think. That's just because they're just trying to sort of get their hierarchy back. But the blues are looking so good. Look at that one. Look at the white just popping his head out. Any food coming? Any food? No, I'll go back in there. But using that cave, like I said, the crocodile head, using it in there as like the main entrance. So everything's worked out really well. I mean, it probably just looked like I was chucking rocks in, but as I was doing it, I was trying to create labyrinths and things like that, all going all the way into that back section. It's worked out so nice. And this is definitely the sort of tank that I would class as like a modern piece, if you like. If you've got or any house, to be fair, you put this in your living room like that, it's going to be a big talking point when people come in. And Kate came in yesterday when I finished and she absolutely loves it as well. And it got us thinking, I might be wanting to do something like this at home because I've got 0 fish tanks at home. And what an awesome piece to be able to have in the living area. Not only for guests, but for myself as well. These fish are very, very interesting to watch. They're always doing something. There's something going on. Now, one of the main reasons I don't have a tank at home is because after I've been doing maintenance all day or building here, I don't want to have to go home and do that. So it's just a case of when I'm home, I relax, I'm with the family. But a tank like this, it will not need barely any maintenance. Like once a month, I'll clean up the front of the sand maybe. And that's really it. You know, obviously feeding, but that's an enjoyable thing. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this build and it's given you some ideas if you keep cichlids, or maybe it's inspired you to keep them. And if you are considering Mbunas, definitely do it. Always go for a decent amount of stocking, like you can see here. We've got lots of fish and provide the homes for them and everything is brilliant. I've lost 1 fish in this tank since I set it up like 6 months ago, if not even longer. And that could have been for any reason. So it's obviously working well. And the fish, they just look amazing, don't they? Love it.